It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Today I want to highlight HP insider trading. I'm going to make some predictions on some executives that I believe will be leaving the company. And folks, I got it right last time. Remember when I was talking about the insider trading and Christoph Schnell had sold millions of dollars worth of stock, and I made a comment, he's probably getting ready to leave. It wasn't too long after that he went over there to Intel. Of course, recently he was still on the HP website. That was a whole nother episode. But folks, if you look at the top of my Sharp Interactive board, you'll see a question, does HP need new leadership? And then there's the word yes. That's my answer, yes. I believe not only do they need new leadership, they need a new direction. And I put together these questions. Let me ask them out loud. I want you all to think about it, and then we'll jump into the insider trading and my thoughts on that. They've spent billions buying its own stock. Billions of dollars buying its own stock. Are they delusional to the real value? There's another company that right now is under a microscope, and that company's called Bed Bath & Beyond. A lot of the financial analysts are saying that Bed Bath & Beyond was way over optimistic and out of reality when they were buying their stock back because they thought it was undervalued. And that's a whole nother story, right? What happens to a company when they continue to buy back their shares because they believe it's undervalued? Here's the reality. You know who values the stock? Not the executive team, the marketplace. And a lot of times, I think the executive teams can get a little fooled by a fluctuating marketplace. But that doesn't really determine the value of your stock. That's like short-term thinking stuff. And so let me share more of my thoughts. Executives selling massive amounts of shares, are they short-term thinkers or long-term strategists? And what are they doing? Are they in it for the long term? I realize a lot of times insiders have trigger dates to sell some stock, if they had some stock options on the table. But folks, it's literally millions of dollars being sold in stock against what's being bought by the insiders. So the insiders, if they really thought it was undervalued, would they not be buying it versus selling it? Just a question to ask yourself. HP is big on hype and little on substance of details. Are they fooling themselves or fooling the market? I'm not saying that HP is doing anything in malice to fool the marketplace, but when I hear them talking about this hybrid remote worker and subscriptions and all the buzzwords you can imagine in the world we live in today without any substance, I get a little concerned. When I share their financials, I always talk about the other categories. What the hell's in the other categories with some details? What is the revenue? What is the profit? Because it's these other categories outside of this print deliverable that are going to really determine the future of that company. Because we all know that print's falling off a cliff, right? HP without print is a disaster. Why is leadership not talking about print's reality? Folks, have you ever heard Eureka talk about the demise of print? Have you ever heard the executives over at HP talking about how print in businesses has declined 20% from pre-COVID levels? Do they think it's going to stop there? Do they think it's going to grow back? Do they think you're going to go out there and get all the print customers in the world? Well, that's great. You can get all the print customers in the world if you can do it, right? Guess what? After you get them all, every single day it's going to continue to decline because people are printing less. We all get that, right? Something to think about. Is it smart having legacy print people running the company? Folks, I'm not trying to be too critical here, but at the end of the day, these 30, 40-year-old executives that got toner running through their veins, it's very, very hard for them to think past toner and think past print. And it seems to me that when you listen to how they talk in the marketplace, they have an infatuation for print, which is beyond the realities of the market, in my opinion. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that thinks that way. And so I think that's a valid question. But here's something I want you all to pay attention to. It's my last question. We'll get into the insider stuff. But folks, this is important for all of my friends that sell supply and service print equipment, all those dealers all over the place. They're signing up with this Amplify agreement. Let me read you the question. I'll give you my thoughts. What happens at the failure of Amplify? A program created for print supplies. Folks, you know what? You could have Amplify Impact, going to save the environment. You could have Amplify whatever you want. But Amplify was created by HP to protect the supply business for their printers. That's it. Anybody believes anything outside of that, I believe they're totally delusional. HP is doing everything they can to make sure that those printers use OEM supplies in them. And you know what? Hey, at the end of the day, that's their job. They're trying to protect their business, their aftermarket. But it's all about toner. The problem is, The whole entire business model of Amplify, which is built all about toner, is built about a platform that's declining, not a platform that's growing. Do you see the irony in this? Amplify is about a declining marketplace. It's not about a growing marketplace. That's concerning, because in a world where people print so much less than they do now, I don't care what you call it, it's not going to amplify your profits, and it's not going to amplify your sales. And I truly believe that's the flaw in Amplify. And you're out there auditing dealers, you're out there coming up with programs to protect the toner that goes in the machine. Folks, there's a lot of crap around this Amplify agreement that a lot of people don't like. The data, you got HP now kicking off. You know, they're going to put subscription print in businesses. Hopefully they'll release all the details on the subscription print in people's houses and give the real details. How many are active? How many are inactive? What's the average volume on those subscriptions? What's the average revenue on those subscriptions? What's the profit margin on those subscriptions? Wouldn't it be nice to know all that? Some things to think about, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move into this. So we all know our friend, Mr. Jim Cramer from Mad Money. There he is. Well, he did an interview with Eureka on February 28th of 2022, and let me read you the headline. HP Inc. CEO defends stock buyback program, says it will continue because shares are undervalued. He's already out there defending this earlier this year, right? I got to defend these buybacks. He's going to have a hard time defending this argument now. I mean, what's he going to buy them all back, hoping it goes back up to $40 a share? Here's some questions I have. Is Eureka out of touch with the market's reality on the real value of the stock? Because the market determines the price of the stock. Not the Amplify program, not the hybrid remote worker, not the fact that now they have poly. None of that stuff matters. What matters is those people that buy the stock. Now, I realize if you want to keep buying billions of your own shares, you might adjust the price a little bit. But at the end of the day, sooner or later, the world's going to say, wait a second, what's going on over there at HP? I think the world's already asking those questions. Did Eureka believe that fiscal year 2021 and first half of 2022 was defining the future of HP? And this is a tough question, but I think it's a real question. And I think the answer to that is yes. I think Eureka Loris and the team over there at HP looked at 2021 and 2022, and they started thinking, early 2022, and they started thinking, oh, this is going to be so great with this hybrid remote worker. And it was an anomaly. And they're basing decisions based on an anomaly, not based on reality, and that's always scary, in my opinion. Anomalies, eventually they level out, and you have to be able to perform when it levels out. You have to be competitive when it levels out. You have to be able to play the game at your peak when it levels out. And if you base it all off the anomaly, well, when it starts leveling off, you could be in a real delusional world. And unfortunately, I believe that's exactly where HP is today. So there we go. Bed Bath & Beyond. Bed Bath & Beyond. Executives got it backwards with stock buybacks. Expert explains. Go out there and Google this and research this, folks. It's never good when the corporation itself believes that their stock is worth so much more and they spend billions buying it back, when the marketplace sets the price. Something to think about and think about hard. So let's look at this. So here we go. I did this at 10:43 this morning. The stock was sitting at 27.14. It's down 34.83%, 35%, folks, since June 1st of 2022 to today. $40.34 down to 27.14. Looks like the market's determining the value, not HP buybacks. Just something to think about. Let's look at this insider trading. This is always interesting to me. Over the last year, folks, there's been one insider that bought stock, and that person bought $249,722 worth. That person sits on the board of HP. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But, folks, here's the reality. 8 of them sold $19.73 million worth. So 8 of those executives are thinking it's time to sell. And like I said, there might have been some triggers to sell, but still 19.73 million sold to 249,000 bought. If they thought this stock was so undervalued, I think they'd be buying more of it, right? Wouldn't you think? I mean, that's what I'm thinking. But folks, I wanted to look at some of these senior leaders that, well, a while back when I talked about this the last time, and it was a while back. It might have been almost a year ago. And I pointed out that Christoph Schnell had sold a whole bunch of stock, and I made a comment that he's probably going to head out the door. And I turned out to be right on that. He did head out the door. He went over to Intel. And I'm thinking to myself, we got some other leaders that are probably getting ready to head out the door. Just me thinking, okay, let me share my thoughts. So Maria Myers, her CFO, sold $2 million worth of stock. Her average sell price was $37.13. Congratulations, she kind of beat the market on that one, didn't she? Alex Cho, Personal Systems. He sold $3,338,000 worth of stock, and his average sale price was $33.18 a share. Good job, Alex. Good job, Alex. Our friend over there, Tuan Tran, who heads up the print business for HP, he sold almost $3.1 million worth, and his average was $37.74 a share. He definitely wins the prize and selling it at the highest price. But folks, I believe there's going to be some changes over there at HP. I think some of these senior leaders are going to be heading out the door. And I'm basing that off of just the amount of stock they're selling. And like I said, I guessed it about Christoph Schnell, and it turned out to be right. So maybe this will be the start as some of these leaders head out the door to bring in new blood to change the thinking of the company. Who knows? But something's got to happen. But let's look at the board members. So we had the one buyer. We had the run buyer, Bruce, over here, and he bought $249,722 worth. His cost for that was $36.67 a share. He's probably thinking to himself, I probably should have waited. And, Eureka sold $4.5 million in the last year, and his average sale price was $33.58 a share. So, folks, we have another board member, Sabru, and I'm hoping I'm saying his name right, but he sold $373,238. So we had the one board member bought, and that board member's probably scratching his head. Probably should have waited. But folks, the bottom line is things have to change in the world of print. And I believe wholeheartedly that our friends over there at HP looked at the year 2021 when it's peaked, and they thought to themselves, this is our future. And they based that future off an anomaly. And now that things are leveling off, there has to be major changes in mindset at HP, or things could possibly get worse. Just some things to think about, my friends, because we all know this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.